Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Release to Rise podcast. I am your host, Kate Patra, and I am super excited to be talking all things energy today. It's going to be a very interesting one. I find that this concept really helped me change the way I see the world, also interact with the world. And I think it's going to be a game changer for you because it was a game changer for me. Now, it's no mistake you're here. If you're here listening to this, you're meant to, for some reason, either something I'm going to say is something you need to hear, or it's going to be something that someone in your life needs to know. And so I ask that you just keep an open mind with all of this because it's different and it's interesting and it's also challenging, shall I say. I don't think I was triggered by this topic, but it definitely, once I saw it, once you see it, you can't not see it. That's the kind of vibe it has. So I'll explain everything in my own words as I see it, as I've experienced it. So, what are we talking about today? We are talking about energy and how a lot of times not only are the thoughts we think not our own, but the energy we feel is not our own. The CIA actually just came out with a report that verified that we're all energetic human beings in terms of ESPF. ESPF, I was going to say. Let's try that again. ESP exists in humans. We're all made up of liquid crystals. But before we even get into the depths of that, I think we got to dial back what energy actually is and why we're such energetic human beings and how the energy of environments and people and situations and circumstances and everything we consume, from music to TV to social media, influences our energy if we're not protected in the right way. And then I'll give you a few tips to start protecting your energy. I could go in depth about that too, but we just got to get you started somewhere. If you really think about it, and if I flash back to my middle school special education teacher days, seventh grade science, holler. Energy, one, cannot be created or destroyed, but two, it really simply starts out with everything being energy. So if you think about what energy is, protons, electrons, neutrons, that makes up an atom. Atoms make up molecules, and densely packed molecules make up matter. And matter is everything that we are, everything that we interact with, from the cars we drive to the phone you might be listening to me on, to the TV you might be watching me on, to the Stanley you're drinking from, to every single thing we use, pens, papers, the seats we sit on, the beds we sleep in. Everything is energy. And I know that it can be hard to understand that something that does not have breath has energy, but every single thing starts out as energy. And every single thing starts out as a thought, right? The phone was invented, great, wonderful, but it started out as an idea. Just like the laptop started out as an idea. Everything starts out as an idea, and then we put matter together to create it. Everything is energy. And so it's not a shock to say that sometimes the energy we feel is not our own, and sometimes the thoughts we think are not our own, because we are easily influenced beings. And because ESP exists in all of us. The CIA has now given us scientific evidence to prove that. That is an undeniable fact. When we have energy that can influence us, it can influence us for good and it can influence us for bad. So it can have a positive effect, it can have a negative effect. I remember clear as day, there's a couple different examples I can give of how this impacted my life before I even knew what it was. So back when I was a health and fitness coach, remember I was a special education teacher and then I kind of moonlit as a health and fitness coach, but it was through an MLM, which again, I sucked at sales because I didn't care. I was just there to help people. I never built a team or anything like that. It wasn't my jam, clearly. But I loved the group aspect. I loved supporting women. I loved helping women feel good in their bodies where they were and then watching them reach their goals. It was so fulfilling. Loved it. The energy behind my group was positive and encouragement and all the good things. Every year, this company had what's called a summit. All the coaches would get together and people would do trainings and you'd have a merch tent. God, the merch tent was amazing. I mean, you guys, the amount of money I spent on athleisure wear, it is astronomical, and I didn't regret one thing. Not one thing. But talk about the energy influencing me. I bought some leggings that were horrific looking, but I bought them anyway because I was all swept up in it. Energy, see what I'm saying? But anyway, so there were trainings and social groups and meet and greets. You'd get to meet the trainers and you'd get to have the merch tent, all the things, right? And then at the end, there was a meeting, kind of a grand finale where people would win awards and everything. And I remember walking into the arena where it was held. It was held in this very huge sports arena in New Orleans. And the energy behind that, the energy kind of in all of it was just a little grim. It was very competitive. The energy behind a lot of the trainings and then this event in particular, it was like you want to win awards, you want to be up on that stage getting your picture taken, looking so hot. You can be a millionaire, you can be a billionaire, you could leave your full-time job for this. And I remember sitting in trainings and being like, well shit, I could leave my full-time job for this. I mean, the energy that was being propelled towards us and behind their message very much convinced me that, oh, I'm this is it, I'm leaving teaching, I'm going to be a full-time coach, this is going to be my bread and butter. I'm going to be a millionaire. Hello, gonna be a millionaire. Thank you so much. I really truly felt that. And that's not to say that that's not good to have dreams and beliefs, but it wasn't my energy that I was picking up on. And so then we go to this big event at the end of the training, at the end of like, it was like a weekend or something like that, at the end of that. And it was competitive. It was just kind of gross. It was really dark and dreary. And it was very much, it wasn't about helping other people. It was about what can we do to be seen? What can we do to make more money? I want to win an award. I want to be up on that stage. I want to have my picture taken with all these people that in our world were kind of well known, famous-ish, well known. And I remember just sitting back and I remember getting teary and I didn't understand why I was getting teary. And what I now understand, it was too much energy for my system. I didn't understand that I was an empath. I always knew I was sensitive, but I didn't understand it was just too much energy for my system to take. And sometimes when that happens, I will get teary. It's how my body will regulate. I'll cry. I mean, I cry at everything, you guys. Happy, cry. Sad, cry. Angry, cry. I mean, it's my go-to. But anyway, I remember looking around and thinking, this is so different from the message that we put out to people. I remember feeling so fake in that moment. And I remember feeling so discouraged. And also, at the same time, so jealous of the person that won the award and this woman who I know was making millions and she had a stylist and all these things in life now. And it just didn't align with what I originally had signed up for. But I was picking up on all this energy. And so then when I left that event, that is when I stopped caring. That is when I slowly started to pull away from that business because it did not match the energy that I wanted to put out. It did not feel good in my body. And I didn't realize that that wasn't my own energy at the time. Now looking back, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I was picking up on all sorts of just grimy energies that weren't mine, but were convincing me that I needed this to feel good about myself and convincing me that I needed this to feel successful, as opposed to looking at the amount of women that I helped actually just learn to love their bodies and counting that as success. It happens everywhere. It happens in the diet culture that we have. Think about all the diets that used to be out there, Atkins and keto and macros and no gluten, no dairy, low fat. God, that was the worst. And that's not to say that there aren't certain things that are good for people that are out there. All right. Again, there's always good and bad in everything. But the problem lies when we have this group mind virus, it's almost like this contagion that comes in and says, oh, I need to do this because that's what everybody else is doing and look at their results and I'm going to get those results. And then when we don't, we get discouraged, we get upset. Oh, they're working with this person and their digestive system's healed. Hallelujah. That's going to happen to me. And then they don't. I remember working with someone that I had met through Instagram and I didn't get the results I wanted, not even close. And I remember being so deflated. I was in the energy of other people and other people's experiences and thinking that's going to happen to me. Thank God I now have trained intuition because now I can assess and go, am I a match to that person? Am I a match to this diet trend? Is this what my body needs? Is this supplement what my body needs? Is this workout what my body needs? Because now, instead of just blindly doing something like 75 hard, I remember trying that when my body was inflamed and screaming for me to rest. And I was like, but everybody else is doing this and I'm going to do it too. Because again, group mind virus, that can easily influence our energy and our thoughts. Our thoughts are often not our own. And we have to be really critical of our thoughts, not in a berating way, but in a, is this my own or is this not my own? So now with my physical intuitive health and fitness plan that I do, how many days a week am I going to Legree? Am I going in the morning or night? What time am I going in the morning? Because I also need sleep to recover. Am I going to a full body class or abs and arms? Or am I doing abs and stretch? Or am I going for walks, which I walk every day, but which one's an actual workout walk, like a zone two walk? How many minutes do I need to be in zone two? I assess everything my body needs. How many hours of sleep do I need to recover? What are the emotions that are causing me to not get to my health and fitness goals? And because I have that trained intuition, now that outside energy, that outside noise that you hear and you see on social media and you hear all the ads that are out there, now I don't get influenced by it as easily. It still will happen sometimes, but I know now to stop and check. Is that my thought? Is that my energy? Am I a good match for that or not? Because before this, I would just blindly follow. And then that's how I got unhealthy in my body. My hormones got out of whack because I just blindly followed programs because everyone else was doing it. That group mind virus. It happened even as a special education teacher. Now, don't get me wrong, special education is a tough world. Education is a tough world, and it can be very easy to get negative there. And I think sometimes you have to vent. I mean, thank God before our team meetings got taken from us. Yes, that's right. They got taken from us. But before they got taken from us, thank God for our team meetings because that is where we laughed, we cried, we vented, we brainstormed, we came up with amazing programs for kids as a group. I mean, there is power in having a group mind that is all aligned and wanting the best for students. When that got taken away from us and we didn't have that, I think it was either once or twice a week we would meet, and we didn't have that time to just let our energies out and vent and whatever, and then regroup, recharge, and go back and take on the world. When we didn't have that, I noticed all of us very much shrinking. It became a very negative place. And that's not to say that, some of it's incredibly justified. It is very frustrating and defeating to fight every day for the basic things that kids need to learn. It's hard. It's hard to be inside the classroom and know what works and have somebody outside the classroom tell you what to do. You know that's not going to work, but you still have to follow it anyway. That's also very deflating. So I get where it comes from, but I noticed myself getting more and more isolated and more disconnected with my passion in that job. It wasn't until I stepped out of that role that I understood and noticed how the influence of the energy around me. Now, it wasn't just my team. My team's great. They all have big hearts and they were wonderful and they all wanted to help people, especially that population. But it was almost the energy of the environment that had shifted. And when you walked in that building, you just felt it. When you walk into a place and you're like, oh, I already feel defeated, or I already feel like I don't want to be here. That's energy behind that is helping you and causing you to feel that way. And that's how I felt in that building because so many of us were feeling so exhausted and burnout and deflated and like we didn't have any influence in our classrooms anymore. And so once I stepped out of that, after I left, it took a while, but I slowly started to notice that I wasn't seeing things as negatively because not only was I seeing things negatively in the classroom, but then that energy stayed with me as I went home. Then my interactions with my husband or my family were negative. My outlook on life was negative. I was constantly the pessimist as opposed to being the optimist. Now, I've also released a lot of energies that have helped me be more optimistic and gotten rid of that negative programming. But being out of that environment where they could easily get lodged back in my field again was significant. A lot of the thoughts I thought at school were not my own. It was the energy that I was picking up on. She had a friend who was getting a divorce. I don't really know the story behind it, but her friend was getting a divorce. Now, my friend, the divorcee's friend, she was happily married, is happily married, but was happily married at the time, had kids. And all of the sudden, as she was being there for her friend, as one is, listening and all that type of stuff, all of a sudden she would talk to me and she started questioning her own marriage. And it was the first time I had ever heard her say anything negative about her husband. And the things she was saying, I thought, this doesn't sound like her. What was happening was she was picking up on the energy of her friend. Now, it's okay to be there for your friend. Absolutely. That's part of friendship. But she wasn't protected in her energy. So she was having energy seep into her field, and these thoughts were not her own. And she started questioning her own marriage. And for a few months, when I would talk to her, I'd be like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Isn't this the guy who did this? Isn't this the guy who told you this? Remember when he did this for you? And I would have to remind her and get her out of that state. And at the time, I didn't even know that's what we were doing. But she was picking up on her friend's energy. And then she starts questioning her own marriage and her own relationship and going, well, wait, maybe that's me too. It's all just energy being exchanged. And so we have to really start to question things, especially big things like that. Our thoughts are not always our own. If you look at social media, I don't know about you guys, but when I do my red light therapy, I will sit in front of my red light and I'll give myself 15 minutes to scroll and blank out. And I'm going to probably put a kibosh on that because typically at the end of 15 minutes, unless it's puppy TikToks, which happens to be the rage on my algorithm right now, and I love it, or special education type of things, which make me cry. But either way, if it's not that, typically I will get off the scroll. I will get off TikTok once the red light timer goes off. And I'll try to get back to work, and all of a sudden I feel like crap about the amount of work I did or didn't get done. Or I start to question, why did I leave special education? Oh my God, why am I not in the education field? I can't believe I left that. Da, 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 da. All of this energy that I consumed from scrolling, because here's something that is significant. Just understanding this is going to change your life. When you consume something on social media, Reel, TikTok, whatever, you're not only absorbing and being influenced by the energy of the person who posted it, but the energy of the people who watched it also comes through to you. So it can be sadness, it can be grief, it can be comparison, it can be competition, it can be jealousy, it can be all these things. It is why when we watch and scroll on our social media, we can often feel like absolute crap when we get done. It is why we can start to feel confused about our career path or our relationship or where we live. Oh gosh, should I be living in New York? Should I go to a different state? I think I should move to Texas. Why should I move to Texas? I think I should move to Texas. It's why we have those thoughts, because as we're absorbing what we're watching on our phone, that energy also gets absorbed within our field. It is why social media needs to be minimized in life. I am only on when I am answering questions because sometimes students will ask me questions on my old TikTok back when I was helping kids. But it's why I don't get on social media unless I'm doing that or I'm posting something. That's it. And I am going to eventually get off of social media and go to things like Rumble and just free webinars and things like that. Because I need to protect my energy and I need to protect the people who I'm going to help. I need to protect their energy. Social media is significant in influencing our energy and not always in the best way. I would say if I intuitively look in, 93% of social media will negatively impact your energy, leaving only 7% to have a positive boost, to be encouraging or anything like that. That's significant. And that's something to pay attention to. I think about how many things that I have purchased just because an influencer had it. I have this satchel purse that I spent far too much money on and have never even taken it out of the package. It looked great on the person. Group mind virus, gotta have it. It was sold out, so I waited and then I bought it. I've never used it. One, it's not my style, and two, it looks ridiculous. I can't believe I even bought that. But that's what happens with group mind virus, and that's what happens with group contagion. It's not our fault, but we have to be aware. I have to start being aware of that. And so I now pay attention and I muscle test now. Okay, do I want that aloe set because I saw a girl wearing it in class? Or do I actually want it? Like, will that help me be more motivated to work out? Or will it help me feel more confident in my skin? Whatever. And I put scientific percentages behind that before I make a decision. And it may seem like that's kind of intense, but it's not. When you do it over and over and over again, you get really good at it. I think that a lot of times people will pick up on other people's energy and have reactions because I think at the end of the day, we all just want to belong. We all just want to feel like we're part of a community. It almost feels like on an energetic level, our energy is like, we just want to belong. And that's why I would get into the bitch fests at work and just join in. It was easy to do that. And the energy just influenced me to do that. Before I knew it, I was doing that. I would go in and be like, I'm going to be so positive today. I would walk in the doors and be like, F this place. This is the worst, for no reason. because the energy was just influencing me. I didn't know how to protect my energy at the time. I equate all of this energy influence to when you're younger and your friends start to party and you're in a situation where they offer you a drink or they offer you something and you don't want to do it. There's a part of you that knows that's not what you want, and yet there's also these people that are looking at you and paying attention to you and judging you. And you want to belong and you don't want that awkward moment and you want to feel like you have a sense of community. And so you either indulge or you don't. And when you don't, you feel like an outsider. That's what's happening with our energy. It's just happening on an energetic level as opposed to just having physical outside influences coming in. So equate it to that feeling. And that's what happens. We all just want to belong, but we also need to make sure when we're feeling some type of way to step back and go, is this how I really feel? Is this in aligned with who I am? Is this my own thought? And if you're trained intuitive, you can muscle test and check that, or you can just intuitively look in. And if you're not, see how it feels in your body. If you feel warm and it feels like a positive thing, you're drawn to it, notice that. If you have a feeling in your gut or if you have a feeling of a retreat from it, notice that. That is your energy trying to speak to you. But not all of your thoughts are your own. Many of your thoughts are not your own. And I often clear thoughts that get stuck in people's energy fields that are not their own. There's two different kinds. There's one called broadcast messages and one called these post-hypnotic suggestions. Both come from the outside world for different reasons. Both get stuck in your subconscious field, your energetic field, and then it turns on that subconscious filter, and then it starts to look for evidence, your subconscious, to validate that you're not worthy, or to validate that you're not motivated, or to validate that you can't lose the weight, or you're not good enough, or you need to produce something to be worthy of love. All of these things, I mean, all of these programs, they come from energetic influences, sometimes within, but those two come from outside. And the more we release those, the more you have access to your own thoughts and your own energy, and you can get in touch with it and understand what it means, as opposed to being that kid at a party who gets offered drugs and alcohol, and you're like, I don't want to, but I feel like I have to. And then you do. It's a similar experience, except it's just on an energetic level. There's big things that have happened in the world that can be explained by energy too. Think of January 6th when they stormed the Capitol. There's a lot of people that if you take them out of that group or out of that contagion, that group mind virus, would not have done what they did that day. There's some that would have, but there's a lot that wouldn't have. It's also similar to if you walk into a concert and you feel, well, first of all, there's some energies, some dark force energies at concerts, but that's a whole other discussion because you really have to protect yourself when you go to concerts. But when you feel that excitement, and then people start dancing around, and then sometimes you might have a mosh pit. I mean, all of that is people feeding off each other's energies. So just think of those things when you think, I don't know if the person I sit next to at work, if I'm picking up on their energy. You best believe you are, especially the people we work closest to. There are ways to protect it. There are things you can do. One of the ways to protect your energy and to protect yourself in general, I'm going to give you part of an energy protection. And then if you master that, then we'll keep furthering it so that you can start to learn to protect yourself. What you do, it's all visualization. Energy work is all intention, it's visualization. The first thing I do before I get out of bed is I make sure that my energetic shield is up. I do all of my energy hygiene stuff. The first thing I do is I connect myself gold light from source. So what I do in the mornings is I close my eyes and I picture this beautiful gold ocean above my head, like well above my head, maybe even like 300 feet. And that represents source. And then I see a gold light come down from there and connect to the top of my head and just fill every single cell in my body. And I go through every part of my body, all the way down to my toes. And then once you've done that and you have your whole being, picture yourself as a light body, just like an outline, and all of it is filled with gold. Then picture a pink light coming from the center of the earth, well below, coming from the center of the earth. This is going to be grounding energy that comes up, and have it come through your feet, through your toes, through your ankles, up your calves, knees, thighs, up your glutes, all the way up your back, your waist, your middle body area, shoulders down your arms, up your neck, all the way up out of your head. That energy will ground you. Doing those two things I do in the morning, and then I also do them at night. But if you even just did them in the morning, that will help start to protect your energy. The other thing I always say, now I go a lot more in depth, but my practitioner taught me to just say shields up, and that can help us protect our energy too. This episode is really to just show you how much our energy can be influenced by outside forces. And yes, I can help clear that. I clear it for myself all the time. And also, I go into situations where I make sure my shields are up. That's great. But I also am aware of the situations I go into, the events I go to, whether it be concerts or big gatherings or an energy session or a visit with a friend. And I make sure that my energy is protected because I want to be there for the people in my life. And I don't want to be worrying about picking up on their energy. And so you can still be a human who's there for people, but also protect yourself at the same time. Anytime you have a thought that doesn't feel aligned, that doesn't feel positive, that feels really destructive, I guarantee that thought is not yours. I guarantee it. And the reason I guarantee it is because I've experienced it in myself. Really deep, dark thoughts, scary thoughts, really. And my logical brain would think, what? Where is that coming from? I have a good life. I have a great family. My kids are doing well. My husband adores me. Where is this coming from? What is going on? Those thoughts were not my own. They either came from external influences and people and energies that I picked up from social media, especially, or they came from energies that got lodged in my field from outside people that were stuck in my energetic field. And now that I know how to release that, great. I will tell you, I don't have those thoughts anymore. Energy is significant and energy is powerful. And when we start to really protect our energy, that is when you start to see the world in a very different light. I know this was a lot. I am barely scratching the surface of this, so I fully recognize there is so much more to get into with this. I just wanted us to start somewhere and talk about how everything is energy, to then explain how easily influenced we are with energy, how the media can make us feel a certain way, people and environments can have us feeling a certain way. It's all because of energy. And the more aware we are of it, then we can start to recognize it. And as you recognize it, you almost pull yourself out of it a little bit to be the observer. And then from there, you might not be as easily influenced by it. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me. This is a very hard concept to wrap your head around, but an important one. It's a life-changing one. It's one that really influences us whether we recognize it or not. But I hope that it made sense. And if it didn't and you want to talk more, you know how to get a hold of me. You can always email me at kate@katepatraw.com, or you can scroll down on my webpage. You scroll down, sign up for my newsletter so that you don't miss out. Because if you want more in-depth information, that's where I really dive into that stuff in my webinars because I have more time. I have a smaller audience so then I can answer specific questions and make sure that everyone really understands everything and we can learn faster and learn it more in depth. I appreciate you guys hanging with me. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Talk to you soon. See you next week. Love you.